Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Nioh. I found the button that does high fives. We have some boons we can receive from the shrine now. Boons are DLC items, mainly pre-order bonuses, stuff like that, and the rewards you get for beating the alphas, which I think is what this golden armor is all about. The golden armor looks nice, but it's way too heavy for me right now. Maybe sticking mainly to the lower weight classes for the agility. Makes a big difference with dodging around and your stamina usage. And since most of this dialogue in the background, these little like lore tidbits are voice acted in Japanese and subtitled in English, I'll usually be skipping over them. So we'll grab our kusarigama. You always pick your starting weapon up off of that corpse. So why do I love this kusarigama so much? Well, God, it's so cool. And it's ridiculous, man. So I'm giddy over it. I love this weapon. You have no idea. I mean, it's no Naginata, so I can't do my Hisako cosplay build, but holy shit, it'll do. It's different, it's unique, it's so damn cool. This thing is a chain with a sickle on one end and heavy weight on the other. The DPS on it is great. It uses very little stamina. It's got ridiculous range, as you've seen. It's amazing for crowd control. It's got a bunch of insanely good upgrades, too. This thing is just the best. I think it's the best weapon in the game. It's a top-tier weapon. I don't normally pick top-tier, but this one, oh, it's just right after my own heart. I love the ever-living bejesus out of that thing. Also, I want to just point out how absurd it is that William reads about this stuff on a boat and steps off the master of the kusarigama. While you were partying, William studied the kusarigama. While your ships were busy crashing in the ocean, William studied the kusarigama. So these cute little green fellas that you saw being adorable back on the title screen, they are called kodama. There are a set number of them in each mission, and when you find them, you can send them back to the shrine to receive a blessing, which we'll talk about next time we visit the shrine, so we can see kind of hands-on what they do. Down here, we're gonna fight our first revenant right after we loot this corpse. Revenants are NPCs which you can summon from these bloody gravestones. They're a hybrid between bloodstains and black phantoms, actually. When you beat them, you will get their gear plus a third form of currency on top of the Amrita, or the souls that we're getting. I'm gonna call them souls all the time. And gold. This third form of currency is called glory, which will be relevant much later on. These revenants are usually placed by developers, but revenant graves can also form when another player dies. You can look over how the revenant died on the gravestone to get a clue as to environmental hazards or like really tough enemies in the area too. So that's how they serve as bloodstains as well. It's a nice, elegant hybrid solution. Now, there were two things mentioned in the memoirs from the end of Mission 1. One of those things is the stance system, and the other is key pulses. We have access to both of those right now. So every weapon has 3 available stances. This guy's gonna try and ambush us. Fuck, that 4-hit medium stance string, super good. Especially if you have a lot of enemies surrounding you, because the first 2 hits, he just swings around him. So like I said, each stance gives you, gives your weapon, I should say, its own unique moveset. Plus we have stuff like the skill tree in here, where we can pick stuff up. Lux, we'll talk about more in a second. Whirlwind kick, I'll want that eventually. And the other thing I picked up was grapple. Should I get... Nah, I can wait for some of that. A lot of those moves are going to be stance-specific, too. Now, aside from governing which moveset you currently have access to, stances do something else as well. Low stance is usually the lowest damage output stance, but it gives you the most stability when blocking, and generally uses up less of your stamina to dodge and attack with. So it's a more conservative stance. The medium stance results in you using slightly more ki, so it acts as more of a balanced stance. High stance is your offensive one, generally. It takes a lot of ki to attack with, and you lose a lot when you block with it, but it can also break guards in some instances. So it's a balancing act of offense and defense. High stance is obviously the most offense-oriented, low is the least, on paper anyway. Honestly, I look at them more situationally because of the moveset differences. What moveset you have access to is usually more important than anything else. The kusarigama, for instance, has a fantastic moveset. Every stance has a useful situational move. High stance's heavy attack, for instance, is disgustingly bullshit long range. You saw that one earlier. And it's got a pretty nice general use, like, high DPS light attack combo. Mid stance, the light attack swings the chain around you twice, which is nice for crowd control. And the heavy attack on it is this really quick lunging strike with the sickle part. Let's see, oh, he dodged right past that. Oh, well, that's still good. That's the light attack, by the way, for high stance. Holy shit, I love this thing. Low stance has a really fast twirling move and a sickle attack, like the mid stance heavy. And there's another kodama up this hill. Now this is where this splits off pretty significantly. Let's see, we have that guy who's an archer. We can drop down there. I think we're gonna head to the right for now because there's oh, I thought that was... Never mind. There is a hillside that we can drop onto just above the area that we just came from in the fishing village. So on top of all the other stance-specific attacks, you also have your running attacks, the backdash. That's the grapple that we picked up. When they run out of stamina, you can do that to them. I think it looks sick. Yeah, running attacks, attacks out of the backdash and other dashes, stuff like that. The other major mechanic that was hinted at last time, and this I think is the most important mechanic in the entire game, is the ki pulse. So like a Souls game, we have to talk about stamina or ki first. Again, this is another term that I'm going to use interchangeably, just to clarify what I'm talking about. The green bar in Nioh is called your ki. I will continuously refer to it as stamina, but the stamina bar under your health governs most of your actions aside from walking. So blocking a hit, dodging, running around, attacking, they all consume stamina. And managing that bar is super important. Because, one, when you run out of stamina, you're stuck until you regen enough to do something again. So letting it empty out can leave you without a way to retaliate, it can leave you without a way to defend yourself too. Even worse, you can get into a situation when you're so out of stamina that William will just freeze in place, completely fatigued, until you regen about half the bar. At which point you are just dead in the water. So how do you manage that aside from being conservative with backing off after attacking and letting it refill? Well, what you'll notice is that when you attack, the bar drains and turns red. And after a moment, hold on. This ladder here is the one from the beginning of the level. So we open a shortcut up back here to the first shrine. Or from the first shrine if we should die. So what was I saying? When you attack, the bar drains, turns red, and after a moment, you'll notice that the red part of the bar fills up light blue again. If at that point you tap R1, you do what is called a key pulse, and that will recover that part of your stamina instantly. If you do not key pulse, you have to wait quite a while longer before your stamina regens. So, the comparison that I like to make is that if you're familiar with Gears of War, think of this as an active reload for your stamina. It forces you to not only manage your stamina, but to do so proactively. But if you can master that, you get to be way more active in a fight. And spend way less time waiting for that bar to refill. It makes you less passive. So that combined with the speed, it really lets you pour on some huge aggression and do tons of the really awesome feeling dodging. It's terrific. It's a really smart mechanic. Here we have, what is this, kodama number 3 now? Yes. As long as I'm at 5 before we hit the end of this section coming up here, I think we're on pace to get them all for this level. They can get quite well hidden too. There's one. Ooh, no! I fought him in a bad spot. And he's a more for real dude. The other thing that you'll notice is that you can see the stamina bars for every single enemy. It's right below their health. And you can run them all out of stamina. Like, they require stamina to attack just like you do, as well as blocking. And they lose it when you kick them or when you hit them, too. And when they run out, they're wide open. You can knock them down to do a finishing blow on them. You can do the grapple move you've seen me do a couple times when they're out of stamina. And even the targeting reticle, sorry, not the reticle, the lock-on icon, it turns red when they're out of stamina as well, when they're susceptible to that finishing blow. Oh, and there are... oh no, I'll save that for when it's more relevant. When it will make more sense, I could show it off visually. It gives you the illusion that you and the enemy are on a more even playing field. Now that we have a couple of kodama rescued, we can come back to the shrine here, or rather, we can visit this one for the first time. This is the second one in the level, and we can receive their blessing. So each kodama that you rescue has a different hat, or each one that we've rescued so far in this level. There are 5 of them in total. And you can tell what kind of kodama they are by the hat. This guy's at stamina, so we are... Ah, the grapple didn't work. Oh, wait, was that stance specific? I didn't even check. Wasn't looking. That may have been a high stance thing. We picked up a bow. We have delay talking about the kodama for 1 second, so I can praise this game's goddamn bow and arrow. That didn't require any weird, unintuitive inputs. That was just, I tapped the trigger, and he pulled the bow out, and then I tapped the other button, and he shot the bow. And then he put it away when I stopped doing that. This shouldn't be as revolutionary as it is, but the only reason that this is worth praising is because Dark Souls does it so bad. They do bow controls so bad. It's so bad how the fucking Dark Souls does bow controls. And Nioh puts it to shame in that way. Using the bow and arrow in Nioh actually feels really good. And like it's viable. And not a complete goddamn slog. So the kodama. There are 5 different types of them. You can denote which is which by the type of hat they're wearing. They're a set amount per mission, and the boons that the blessings that they grant vary from, like, you can harvest more Amrita from enemies, you get better weapon drops, better armor drops, more elixirs from the healing kodama. And elixirs are, once we bump up to the limit, which I think is 8 right now by default, we'll talk more about them. But for now, like, they're a cross between Estus and Blood Vials. They're your restorative items. And, like, that bow with a headshot, it just does damage right off the bat. Oh, that didn't finish you? Come on, stop cock blocking that high attack. Or that heavy. Need to pick up that kick. Where the hell was that? Kick, kick, kick. That wasn't in ninjutsu, was it? The ninja tree? Grapple, Reaper, Whirlwind. Am I blind? Am I just misremembering that the kusarigama gets a kick? I'm like 99% positive it does. I'll worry about that later, because I don't want to spend the whole time in menus. And it's not a pressing matter right now. That guy had a helmet on, so I had to hit him once in the head to knock it off. And once in the head again, to score the headshot damage. So you can only have one kodama. Oh, I reached max familiarity. When we get into some of the more granular number RPG stuff, we'll get into familiarity. It's not super relevant right this second. You can have one kodama blessing active at a time, and it takes gold, not Amrita, your other currency, to activate a blessing. And the more kodama that you find of a certain type, the more potent the blessing is. Right now, we have a spread of one kodama for each blessing right now, minus the Amrita one, and I can't remember what the other one does off the top of my head. There are at least one of each type in this mission, though. Okay, we're gonna pull you. Oh, what a beautiful, perfect headshot. This is just like the well in Majula. You hit the stone, and the pulley brings up a nice little treasure for you. Just got me some Hamaya arrows. So it feels like the bow is totally a viable option to use in this game. That's wonderful. There's a bandit in here trying to loot the corpse, so we can skulk up behind him. Ooh, man! That's multi-hitting and relatively high damage, so it's a super high DPS combo. And before I forget, there is yet another kodama right out here. This one's easy to overlook, especially if you don't come up the hill this way. This was the mansion that we saw from the hamlet down the hill earlier. You just have to remember to poke out there. Now we save the best for last. This swirling, glowing miasma indicates that there is a special type of enemy nearby. Special class. That is a yokai. We saw some yokai earlier, the things crawling around on the ground. They are lesser yokai. Yokai are mythical Japanese demons. And in the context of this game, they can be something of mini-bosses. So we're going to activate the living weapon that we didn't get to see properly in gameplay against Derek the Executioner. We kind of went into a cutscene when we activated that. This is your kind of standard Devil Trigger mode. You get powered up, and instead of consuming stamina or health when you take a hit, it just consumes the living weapon gauge. And each of your spirit animals impart a different effect to your living weapon. Like, since we chose the hot doggo, that means our living weapon is imbued with fire, which inflicts a burning damage over time effect. And just past where the yokai spawned, we get the key to the residence. And the residence ain't looking so hot. There are ships coming ashore, and the village is being burned. It's being put to the torch. Now, instead of going down the hill, where there is a shrine, you take a drop down, and we find the 5th kodama of the level. Oh man, I shouldn't have done that. There was one more thing up on the roof. I have to run up and get that after I deal with the spearman. Spirit stones. Small spirit stones, you've seen me pick a couple of them up so far. They are your consumable soul items. They give you Amrita when you crush them. But like most things in this game, it's not actually that. We're going past all this garbage. Holy shit, there's the yokai here too. Ah! It's not good. They're gonna follow me back to the shrine too. I'm not gonna be able to rest at that until I lose them. You know? So, we're gonna jump onto the roof, and their pathing will hopefully be shitty enough that they can't follow me. Even if they do, I'm gonna make another drop as soon as I pick this up and go back to the shrine. Slyly evading them. I was saying, there is another wrinkle to the spirit stones we will get into next time. It's a very, very cool one at that. There's a strategic way to use them in combat. But for now, thanks for watching, everybody. Take it easy. Have a good one.